Hello everybody and welcome to the show. It's Andy Shed Live, Series 18, episode number 2, for Sunday the 31st of August, 2025, is it? Yeah, 2025, yeah. Sorry, fashionably late. What do you mean typically late? Cheeky git. Right, fashionably late, but we are here now. We have actually made it in the end. Just got to get all the chat and things working if I possibly can. Let me see if we can get it working. Cracky, there's 8 of you on here tonight. Blimey. 8 of you live. Really big last week actually. About 60 people have watched last week's show so far. That's like twice what it often is. So thanks to everybody who was watching last week. Remember, if you do want to do us that favour, remember you can sort of do the old like and subscribe thing, yeah, that's totally fine if you want to do that. Right, I'm just trying to find my right thing so I can find the chat, which can see repeated here, of course, if you're watching this on a smart TV or something like that, where you've not got access to the YouTube chat. If you're watching on a smart TV, it's all going on there. But if you want to take part in the chat, of course, you have got to watch on a computer or your phone or something like that. Christopher is with us tonight. Says, hi Andy, hi all. I have some good news. I'm getting a job in railways at Steam Rail Newport Workshop. Oh, congratulations, Christopher. I'm sure that'll suit you down to the ground. You'll be right puffed, won't you? Steam Railway puffed. No. Bills is with us. Says good evening. I've been on holiday, so I've missed the lives, Andy. You've only missed one, Bills, because we only did last week. We only came back last week, so you've only missed one of them. And it says congratulations, Christopher, on the job. Bill says he went on a cruise. There were lots of Australians. Excellent. Bill says Andy has fallen asleep. Now, if you must know, Bill, I was watching a swap shop. I kid you not. I was doing things and preparing for this, and while I was doing things and preparing, I was also watching a VT of Swap Shop, the very last episode of Swap Shop. For anybody in the UK of a certain age, you'll know what Swap Shop is. And it got a very nice trim phone on the desk at the end of Swap Shop. It was late enough that apparently that the Snowden trim phones had come out, and yeah, it's got a green one with a cream handset on the desk at the end of Swap Shop. Right, I'm just going through, see what everybody's up to. All about train sim now. Yeah. Oh, Neville's with us as well. Hi, Neville. Right, Christopher's going to be working on the weekends apparently. Oh wow, you'll just have to watch us after the event, Christopher. Oh, you can probably still watch us live because it is the middle of the night for you, isn't it there? So you might need some sleep though. But yeah, that's excellent news, Christopher. Really, really good, mate. Really good. Bill says, I did try to send you some British Railway tickets, Christopher, and apologise in the delay, but it's going to be too expensive for me, I'm afraid. Is it expensive to send stuff from Britain to... I imagine it is. It's expensive to do everything in Britain, isn't it? So, has anybody seen the Coinbase advert, by the way? The banned Coinbase advert? It is hilarious. It's all the things that are wrong with Britain. It's got banned. I'm sure the government have sort of stepped in and they've made excuses as to why they've banned it, but it's just very critical of the government and generally Britain as a whole at the moment. It's absolutely brilliant. It's the funniest thing I've seen for a long time. I might try and play it you in a bit. Spoon Tricks is here, says hello Andy, thank you for your advice regarding the mainspring of rotary dials last week. Haven't gotten around to sorting them yet because I only found my oil a few hours ago. Yeah, that's the thing, douse it in oil and see if that cures it. You don't want to take the mainspring of the dial apart unless you really need to. Because they are a devil of a thing to put back together, they really are. If you do take it apart, really examine what you're doing as you're doing it. Because the key is, when you put it back together, you've got to get it back together with enough tension in the spring that the dial will come back, but not too much tension in it that you can't dial it in the first place. So you've got to get the amount wound up just right before you put it all back together. It really is a thing where you need about 5 hands with 10 fingers on each hand, sort of thing. Yeah. Spoon Trick says, yes, I've seen the Coinbase ad. It was weirdly refreshing to see something real on YouTube. What are you trying to say, like? Christopher says, I won't be missing the live streams, Andy. I will only be working during the day on Saturday and Sunday, and I will be home to see the stream. Right, you might want to go to bed though at night, Christopher, if you're going to be working during the day. Right, okay. Right, I still don't know what these little crown things are for. You know, these little crown things that have popped up in the chat. It's extra confusing because they're a different colour on the screen to what they are in the actual YouTube channel. Can anybody tell me what those little crown things do? I've got absolutely no idea what they do. But we just came back after the break and they were here. I didn't do it. They just appeared. So I've got no idea at all what they are about. If anybody knows, please do let me know. Yeah, moving swiftly on. I've had a bit of a breakthrough with my 3D printer. I've managed to get it to print the yellow. Look, I've got a little goods van. Yeah, there. These are the little kits that we do for those who haven't seen them. Have I got a completed one in here? I've got a nearly completed one. Yeah, here's a little semi-open narrow gauge coach for you. A little 4-wheel narrow gauge coach. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that or not. There you go. And we do all kinds of other things as well. We do like a little brake van thing. See that? And various other things. I'm working on a big bogie coach at the moment. I've got a prototype of it. Here's the prototype. Sorry, it's purple. Although some people probably like purple, but it's just what colour filament I happen to have at the time. But here's a prototype of the fairly modernish narrow gauge bogie coach. But yeah, andysemporium.coldpress.net is the place to go to if you want to buy any of the model railway kits. Bill says, I think the crowns are in order of when you comment. Spoontrick says, if you click on them, it says top fans. Maybe it's to do with the rate of comments per viewer. Possibly. I think Christopher's done more comments than Bill's, just very slightly. And Christopher is number 2 apparently. Maybe, yeah. Oh, it changes. Because at the beginning, Christopher was number 1, and then Christopher's become number 2. Right. I've got no idea what that's about at all. They keep doing things, YouTube, and they don't tell me what they've done. You know, I'm only the person who makes some money. So yeah, no, they never tell you what they're doing. They just do it. What's one of the things I hate about YouTube? If YouTube had a viable competitor, I would go with the competitor. I definitely would. But the trouble is, they don't really have much of a viable competitor at the moment. Odyssey is still around, but it's not as good as it was. And one of the beauties of Odyssey was it wasn't censored, but I think it is censored now. It certainly seems to be censored. Let's put it that way. Yeah, so, yes, well, yeah, what can you say, really? But, yeah, it's doing weird things. Sounds like I can find it, that advert. Do you think they'd mind if I play it? I don't think they'd mind, would they? If I was to play it. Let's see if I can find it for you. Right. I think I've got it. Let me have a little look, see if I have got it. Yeah, so I'd say I've got it there. Right, let's see if I can show it to you. That's the interesting part, isn't it, with this? Right, where are we? Browser. Right, we'll be there in just a moment. Just bear with me a second, and we'll see what we can do. Yeah, it's been an interesting week this week, for all the wrong reasons really. It's not been the best week in the world ever, but hopefully it is going to get better. I've been doing the roof in a boat. You wouldn't believe how long it takes to put up a bit of tongue and groove to make a roof for a boat. You would not believe how long it takes to do it. Right. So this, I think, is it. This is just absolutely spot on hilarious. I absolutely love this advert. Like I say, it has been banned, which is why you're not seeing it on TV and that. But I don't think Coinbase will mind me playing it, will they? Yeah. So, anyway. If I can move it there, like so. Right. Here is the Coinbase ad that everybody's talking about. I just think this is just absolutely superb. Have a watch of this. And hopefully, it's going to work. I'm going to put my headphones on a minute. so I can hear it as well. Bear with me. One sec. Here's the Coinbase advert. It's just brilliant.
We ain't got no troubles, no reason to complain. 'Cause here in great old Britain, we just love it when it rains.
Morning.
We're cozy here at home, even though it's not our own. But wait a few more years and who can say? Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. The streets can't get no cleaner, nor the rat meat any leaner. No, life is just first rate.
Everything is just fine.
These fish fingers are a steal.
Prices up a smidge.
Just 100 quid a meal.
Empty purse, but hey, could be worse if there was nothing in the fridge.
Strategic realignment means I get to work for myself. Yeah!
Paying off my law degree with tips from each delivery. Excuse me, sir, I have your tandoori. Everything is just fine. Everything is grand. Your life can get no better when you're living by the letter in this pleasant land. Everything is just fine. Everything is great. We're soldiering on. We're doing our bit.
We're off to Dubai.
It's time to jump ship.
We're tightening our belts with a stiff upper lip. 'Cause everything's just fine.
The brilliant Coinbase advert. You find it on YouTube. Just type "everything is fine" into YouTube, and you'll find that it's the funniest thing. Go watch it again because there are things you've missed in it. Every time I see it, I see something that I didn't see before. Look at the names of the shops. Just look at every little detail. Watch it on the biggest screen you can, and look at every little detail in it. It is the... If it had been allowed on TV, I would say it's a serious contender for the best thing on TV ever. I really, really, really like that advert. I think it is just absolutely brilliant, absolutely spot on for the world today. Right, what are folks up to in the chat? Christopher says, Andy, did you see an email about the GEC 711 phone? You and Metro Train, new inspection. Got any trains? I don't think I did, Christopher, actually. I don't think I did see that one. Dominic's with us. Hi, he says, slightly late, driving back from the parents. He says, the plus side of the football. Is the football on? I have no idea. The plus side of it was the A1 was relatively quiet. That's good, isn't it? Neville says that Coinbase ad sounds like a song from Oliver. I think that's the idea of it, Neville. I said it's like Mary Poppins. It's like a post-apocalyptic Mary Poppins. But yeah, it is just, and it's so catchy as well. It's so catchy. You will be humming that tomorrow. But it's just the most brilliant thing I think that I've ever seen. When I first saw it, I absolutely fell about laughing. I absolutely fell about laughing when I first saw that. Yeah. Spoon Trick said, it's interesting that the marketing agency decided to use that angle because they would have done some careful research in what normal people actually think, not what these media types think we think. Yeah, it's very good. I'm not quite sure what the message is of it for. It's a Coinbase, which is cryptocurrency, and the reason they banned it is because it's cryptocurrency, and they like to ban cryptocurrency because the thing about cryptocurrency is it's a way of turning your money into something that the government can't trace, basically. So they don't want you to have all your money in cryptocurrency because they can't tax you on it when it's crypto, can they? So yeah. But on the strength of that advert, I might use Coinbase to invest in some cryptocurrency on the strength of that advert, because I just think it's brilliant. I really do. Apparently, one of the bosses of Coinbase was asked what he thought about unbanning it, and he said something like, "I'm over the moon it's been banned. It means like lots more people will see it than would have seen it if we'd actually shown it." So yeah, but it's just so good. It's just so good. And there's another banned advert involving Sydney Sweeney. Now, if you don't know who Sydney Sweeney is, where have you been? But if I tell you, almost everyone's seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, and the scene in Katz's Deli, where Rob Reiner's mum, Estelle, Rob Reiner was the director of When Harry Met Sally, his mum, Estelle Reiner, has the most brilliant cameo role ever in the world, and she just says, "I'll have what she's having." I'm not saying anything else about it if you've not seen it. But earlier this year, for the American Super Bowl, Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal got together and did a new version of it to advertise mayonnaise, of all things, because adverts in the Super Bowl are a big thing. So they went back to Katz's Diner in New York and refilmed that scene, but unfortunately Estelle Reiner is no longer with us, and so they got American superstar model Sydney Sweeney to take Estelle's part in it, and that's who Sydney Sweeney is. But she's done a jeans advert, and people are saying that the jeans advert is racist and a product of the Nazis, and all it is Sydney Sweeney just saying she's got great jeans on, and that's all it is. I tell you, the world has gone woke crazy, and that. But I might even play that one later. Shall I play that one as well? The Sydney Sweeney's got great jeans ad. Yeah, they've gone absolutely ape at Sydney Sweeney having great jeans. Tempted. I am tempted. Right, you want me to do it? Shall I see if I can do it while I've got this thing open where I can play the YouTube things? Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but anyway, I will roll it. It's only 30 seconds, this one, so I will roll this. This is Sydney Sweeney's American. Again, I'm sure American Idol won't mind the free publicity, will they? So here's Sydney Sweeney. This is another banned advert. Why do you think this was banned? Or has it been banned, this? Do people just want it to be banned, this one? And it's not actually been. I'm not sure. But anyway, here's Sydney Sweeney for the next 30 seconds. See what you make of this.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has her jeans.
You see what I did there, right?
Now, would somebody like to tell me why everybody's getting upset about that? It seems strange to me that the people getting upset about it most are fat, old, ugly Americans. Yeah, they're getting quite upset about it. Wonder why? What on earth is that? Why is there a picture of a National Express coach come up on my preview monitor? What on earth is going on? Hang on. But yeah, Sydney Sweeney's got great jeans, apparently. Yeah, I can tell you it's been a weird week this week. It has been a weird week this week. Oh, crikey, what did I do then? I don't know what I did then, but I did something wrong. Right, where are we now? Right, I need to go there, don't I? I think. Right, can I shut that now? Right. Yeah. Dominic says, the irony of the koi face ad is the company had heavy backing from George Osborne apparently, who arguably did a lot to get us in this mess. Yeah, I think he had help from Starmer though, didn't he? Yeah. Apparently you can get Keir Starmer toilet paper. Yeah. That says have a crap on Keir on it. Yeah. Apparently you can get that. Yeah. I bet they're selling tons of that. Yeah. Neville Oakley says the Sydney Sweeney ad, some would say it's sexist. Nobody's saying it's sexist though, Neville. That's the weird thing. They're saying it's racist. That's the oddball part about it. Spoon Trick says, and he's quite right, he says basically the controversy becomes intentionally part of the advert. I think that's the idea. Stuff that gets banned certainly gets more traction than stuff that isn't banned. Certainly. I remember when Mary Whitehouse was around. Can you remember Mary Whitehouse, that unbelievable do-gooder who basically wanted everything on television banned, and somebody at Channel 4 said, I hope Mary Whitehouse complains about our programme because it'll double the number of viewers we get. But yeah, it is true that if you've got something that is okay and doesn't get banned and all goes well, then it's of no interest. If it gets banned or it goes wrong, it'll have traction and you'll be seeing it forevermore. Dominic says, I wonder if that was the intention with the Jaguar advert, but it backfired horribly. I think Jaguar just very much got it wrong, didn't they? Very much got. What they should have done, should have painted one like a rainbow. Should have painted one like a pride flag, shouldn't they? Yeah. A pride flag Jaguar. There used to be buses like that around here, more international, long before Pride was a thing. Before anybody had invented Pride, there was a bus company around here that had some Bristol RE buses, and called Morn International, and they painted their buses just like a Pride flag, lots of thin stripes of different colours. However they painted it, I do not. It must have took them like a year to paint one bus, to do one colour, that dry and do the next colour, and they dry in the next colour, because they were like, if somebody said what colour are Morn's buses, you have to go, well, red and yellow and pink and green and orange and purple and blue, and yeah. What they were, yeah. Look them up. But yes, things that are controversial do tend to make great advertising. Trying to think of something controversial to say then, to advertise this video, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. That's not like me not to be able to think of anything controversial, is it? Not like me at all. No. No, it's not. But yeah, anyway, there you go. So that's about it for this week. No, I just don't know what's going on with the world. I don't know what's going on with the world. The wokerati. I don't even know where the word woke came from. I'm sure we didn't have the word woke 10 years ago. Where does that come from? And why is it woke? Why is that? Is it an acronym for something? Yeah, I don't know. Got no idea. Somebody let me know. Somebody get in touch and let me know. Dominic said it's a shame about Jaguar. They used to make superb cars. Luckily no one has made fun of me for driving a 2006 one yet. Well, yours was not painted pink, is it, Dominic? Actually, you could. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I've ever been in a Jaguar. Maybe I've at a funeral or a wedding or something like that. You know when you have the hire cars at funerals and weddings and things. Maybe one of them that I've been in has been a Jaguar and I've just not noticed. Andy, here's a marketing idea. Start smashing old and rare telephones and post the videos in forums, etc. People will be so horrified that they'll watch. Yeah. It's funny you should mention that. I do know of a preserved railway that did this. Dominic will probably know all about this one. Now, what railway is it where City of Truro is? It's one of the big ones. Yeah, it's one of the big, something like Severn Valley, or it's one of the big ones. But anyway, City of Truro, quite a famous steam engine, was due for an overhaul, and it was always painted in preservation, lined out Great Western green, and it was going for an overhaul, and what the railway did before they took it apart, because when you overhaul a steam engine you literally take everything apart, you turn it into a flat pack to do a complete overhaul on a steam locomotive. Before they did it, what they did, they painted one side of the City of Truro in black undercoat, just really quickly painted it in black undercoat. Got the coach painter to line it, a BR lining on it, stuck a BR lion on it, facing the wrong way, I believe. I think it was facing the wrong way. And took a photo of it. And then they took it apart to do the overhaul on it, completely took it apart. And while they got it in bits, they released this photo that they'd taken to all the railway press, and with some sort of caption on it that was something like City of Troro's restoration going well, nice new livery coming on a tree. And of course it was plain BR black, and all the Grisers went, sacrilege, sacrilege, they painted our Great Western engine BR black, sacrilege, sacrilege. And they hated it so much they all paid like a tenner a time to go to the railway to tell them how much they hated it. So they all trundled along to this. I can't remember which railway it was. Is it Severn Valley? I don't know. But they all trundled along to this railway to go and see what they'd done to City of Truro. Of course, when they got there, they couldn't find it because it was all in bits everywhere. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Because a steam locomotive literally disappears at a certain stage in its overhaul because it's in so many thousands and thousands of bits that it's not recognisable as anything resembling a steam loco anymore. So they went and couldn't find it because it was all in bits all over the place. And then of course when they put it back together, they put it all back together back in Great Western Green, and they went, suckers. I thought that was quite good, the City of Truro thing. But yeah. Yeah. Spoon Trick's after a Jaguar as well. Crikey, people are suddenly after Jaguars. Dominic, you're doing a better job for Jaguar sales than Jaguar's marketing department have done. You want to go and get a job at Jaguar, Dominic? You might get a free car out of them. Dominic says he thinks it was the Severn Valley Railway. Yeah, it might have been. But it was very, very, very funny. And then there was another one where they had a visiting diesel that didn't exist. This one will remain nameless because I may have got some of the details a bit wrong. So this one will remain nameless. But I think it a Deltic or was it a Class 40? It was some classic diesel loco anyway that they did it with. And what they did, they repainted it and only put its identifying numbers on one side and one end, and on the other side and the other end they put identifying numbers for one of the class that had been scrapped yonks ago. And so people went to this diesel gala and went, wow, look, I've not seen that loco before. I thought that had been scrapped years ago. I didn't realise that still existed. Wow, they've kept that quiet, restoring that. God, it wasn't at all. It got a different number on each end. But they've done things like that, and I do remember being involved with the manufacture out of cardboard for a railway of some giant Hornby tension lock couplers made out of cardboard boxes that you could just sit on the buffer beam of a loco to make like a 1-to-1 scale Hornby tension lock coupler on the front of the loco, painted it all black like modern auto coupling on the main line. It's big tension lock coupler. We've done all sorts over the years. We've done all sorts. Dominic said I wouldn't want one of those latest Jaguars. No, me neither. Christopher says in Australia, Steam Rail did a similar thing. And painted one of their R-class steam locomotives in V-line livery to stir up rail fans. And then they rebuilt the logo. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I've always thought Flying Scotsman would look great in BR blue with the yellow ends on it. Yeah. Wouldn't you just love to do it? Wouldn't you just... You could do it with vinyl even, couldn't you? You could just vinyl wrap it and take it off again. Imagine you're Flying Scotsman in BR blue with the Arrow logo on and yellow firebox and back end at tender painted yellow. Yeah. Somebody needs to do it. Somebody out there must have got an old model of Flying Scotsman sat in a box somewhere. That's your challenge for the week. Paint it BR blue with yellow ends. Then send us a photo, please. Andy@coldpress.net. It'd just be brilliant, wouldn't it? Christopher says, when I'm working, Andy, what I'll do to see the streams, I'll go to bed on Sunday night and get up 10 minutes before your stream starts. You ought to be in bed long though, will you, Christopher, if you do that? What time is it in there? About 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, is it in Australia? He says, I'll tell you now why I don't get a job on V-Line trains or the Metro train. It's because they have no interest in trains to work on anymore. So that's why I've gone where I've gone. Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I do like it. Yeah. I thought you'd got a job on the Melbourne trams, Christopher. Well, that's where you'd have. Thought that's where you'd have gone. I thought you'd have been like a Malcolm in training. Yeah. We used to have a guy at Christ on the board of management at Christ called Malcolm. And one day they had like a little tram cleaning shed where when a tram's run for the day, the crew go and get cleaning things out of this shed. And one day these little handheld vacuum cleaners turned up. When they first came out, these little handheld dustbuster things, powered by a battery that you sort of clip them onto the wall, and then that clips them into the battery and theoretically charges them up. And they never work very well because they're just not got enough power. And somebody thought it'd be a brilliant idea to get about a dozen of these and use them for cleaning the floor of the trams between the slats. Of course, it never worked because they just weren't powerful enough. And these dustbusters got a nickname of Little Malcolms after the Malcolm at Christ who was a board member at the time. And when I said to one of the drivers, said, "Why do you call these Little Malcolms?" He says, "Well," he said, "it's because they make a lot of noise. Great agitation goes on inside them. You can see straight through them, and at the end of the day they do bugger all." Couldn't make it up. Yeah, Little Malcolm. Bill says, "Andy, I'm sure competition is hard to get jobs in the railways." Yeah, I don't know. It never looks difficult to get a job on the railways, does it? From the people that are on the railways. It never looks difficult to get a job on there. You see some of the people on there, particularly guards on sprinters. If you're in the UK, guards on sprinters, right? there's something about working on a sprinter. I think there's a special thing in the rule book. If you're working on a sprinter, you must untuck half of your shirt from your trousers, and you must put your hat on crooked. And if you don't do that, you're not allowed to work on a sprinter. You know what I mean? You've all seen it, haven't you? You've seen the guard hanging out the back of a sprinter that looks like that, haven't you? You know, around here. Yeah. Shirt hanging out at trousers. Waistband at trousers almost around his knees. Yeah. Yeah. British Rail, we're getting there. Wherever that may be. Christopher says he'll be on train staff, but he's got to work in the workshop first. Right, I see. That's an interesting way of training you. I would have thought people that train in the workshop would stay in the workshop, and people that train on the train would stay on the train. That's an interesting idea. Maybe it's to make you multi-talented so you can do lots of different jobs if you need to, Christopher. Yeah. Interesting. I've never thought of getting a job on the railways. I did work on the trams in Blackpool for a few weeks one summer. It was supposed to be a whole summer season, but ended up cutting it short because Blackpool Transport went on strike while I was there. And of course, when they go on strike, you don't get any money. And I'd got no reason to strike because they were striking about money. And I'd got no reason to strike because I'd just gone there. I knew how much money I was getting. I was quite happy with it. But no, they said, you've got to come out on strike. Union. And so because of that, I couldn't afford to live because of the unions. I strongly believe unions do more damage to workers than if they didn't have a union. Don't ever join a union. They're absolutely crap. Dominic says, if I were a driver, I'd work freight, as the locomotive might be more interesting. Plus, rail tour drivers are taken from the freight companies generally. Yeah, they are, aren't they? That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, you want to go and work for locomotive services, Dominic. See what... I don't know if they have their own drivers or not. Do locomotive services have their own drivers? They must do. They must, because where would you get drivers that can drive all those different classes of loco these days? Yeah, I think it'd be quite scary driving a loco. I've never really wanted to drive a loco. Every time you see a train crash, it always says everybody was fine except for the driver. The driver died. You know, why the hell do you need to sit at the front of a train to drive it? That's my question. Why does anybody need to be in the locomotive? Why can the guy driving not be behind the locomotive in the next car back with a video screen, doing it by remote control? Why does he actually have to sit at the pointy end? Because the poor old driver always gets it, doesn't he, in a train crash? But why do you have to sit there? Well, you know, do it like Rail Sim, like Microsoft Train Sim, and just sit there with a screen in the first coach and drive the loco from there. Why not? You watch, that'll happen now. Remember, you heard that first here. In fact, why do you need drivers? Oh, given that we've got driverless cars now, why do you need drivers on trains? Because trains don't have to steer generally, do they? I'm just looking at what's that. Jeff's with us. He says, I'd love to work on the railways, but fear I'm too old. Nobody wants to hire us old-timers. Spoontrick says, unions are terrible, so bad that even my working class history teacher didn't join NUT. when I was at school, I always thought it was hilarious that the teacher's union was called Nut. Yeah, miss, you a nutter? You'd have thought, wouldn't you, that when they were naming that union, they'd have written that down and gone, yeah, we need to think of a different name, right? Christopher says, here in Australia, to get a job on the loco freight train, you have to be over the age of 21. I think that might be the same here, Christopher, I'm not sure. Dominic says, paid incredibly well, although Rachel from accounts will want a big slice. Yeah, well, that's the problem. If you're paid well to do something, Rachel from accounts does come and take it all off you, doesn't she? So the trick is to do work for about 2 hours a week, which is what most sensible people are doing now. I don't know anybody, unless there's some people on here who are going to say, that applies to me. I don't know anybody that works 5 days a week anymore. For that reason, I'm sure it's for that reason that Rachel from accounts takes their money if they do. Spoon Trick says a better idea would be to make the train drivers completely work from home. That's a brilliant idea, isn't it, Spoon? The trouble is then you'd get it'd be very worrying that you'd get some sort of Muslim jihadi train driver working from home who deliberately crashed the train, aren't they? Yeah. Dominic said, is this a joke? What's just come up on here? Just come up on here. Is this a joke? It says, did you hear about the National Mining Museum going on strike? Is that right? Is that did they really, is that to make it more authentic? Sorry, I just get the joke in that. Dominic said, no, it's not a joke. It's really happening. It's really happening. What? The National Mine... Why are the National Mining Museum going on strike? Go on, I'll buy it. You're having a laugh. You are having a laugh, aren't you? They can't be. Surely to God they can't be. That has got to be wrong. Hasn't it? It's got to be wrong. That's... I'm going to have a look at that now and see if that's true. Not that I doubt, Dominic. Apparently it is true. There is just something funny about that. Yeah, I've got a thing from BBC News all about it apparently. Right, let's see if I can read this. Why is it not scrolling? Why will that not scroll? Will anyone like to tell me why that won't scroll? Hello? Right, shall we? Mining Museum to spend almost £50,000 to prolong dispute over 20p pay rise. Official Unison picket. An ongoing strike at the National Coal Mining Museum in Wakefield could be settled for a fraction of the cost managers are spending to block a fair pay rise, says Unison today. Tuesday. The union estimates that by the end of a 4-week walkout, bosses will have paid up to 5 times more than the modest increase low-paid workers want. More than 40 members of staff began their industrial action last week in a dispute over pay, with the strike scheduled to run until at least Sunday the 14th of September. They include guides who are veterans of the year-long miners' strike 4 decades earlier. So they got formed for going on strike then, them people, haven't they? Yeah, so it is in the blood sort of thing to go on strike. But the museum is choosing to rack up tens of thousands of pounds to bring in private security and make alternative visitor arrangements, when it could resolve the dispute for far less, Unison says. Managers proposed an uplift of 80p an hour, or 5% for all workers, whichever is the greater, in a meeting called in response to the strike announcement. But that came after they backtracked on a previous pledge to recommend the museum's Board of Trustees should accept £1 an hour or 5%. Unison has made clear it is ready and willing to meet with Museum Chief Executive Lynn Dunning and other senior managers at any time to try to find a way to end the dispute. The museum has brought in a security firm for the duration of the strike, thought to be costing £1,200 a day. That would total around £33,600 over the 4-week period, the union says. Unison has been told the museum has also spent £15,000 to hire a land train for 6 days, as underground tours are unable to run during the strike. £15,000 to hire a land train for 6 days? Bloody hell, I'll buy a land train. Go and do it if you get that amount of money. This spending is wasteful, shows a lack of respect for dedicated staff. No, it doesn't. Right, where should I go with this then? So they're wanting another 20p an hour. Right. Do you work for the National Coal Mining Museum? Right. Are you currently on strike? If you are, go back to work, you greedy git. That's what I'll say. Because basically, the minimum wage in this country is more than ample. All you are doing is pouncing around in a museum. Go back to work, you lazy greedy gits. Or actually get down a proper coal mine in Russia or somewhere and find out what we get paid there. Can't believe people want more than the minimum wage just to do something so simple. And the minimum wage is so incredibly high. Ask self-employed people if they get £12 an hour, and they'll all tell you they don't. Yeah, I've got no sympathy for the strikers at the Coal Mining Museum, pretty much like I had no sympathy for the people on the picket lines in 1984. And that would probably have some pits left today if it hadn't been for Arthur Scargill in 1984. Yeah. What they got for? They've just not been on strike for like 40 years, so they thought it's time they had one. That's basically what these people are thinking, isn't it? You know, we've not had a summer off. We've not had a summer off for like 40 years. So if we say we're going on strike over 20p, we can have summer off now. Yeah, we'll go back to work in winter when there's nobody about, there's nothing to do. Yeah, you watch. They should bring in battle buses and ship in people from other museums to break the strike like they did in 1984. But it's much more authentic if there's a picket line round it, isn't it? The National Coal Mining Museum, it's got a picket line round it. It's much more authentic coal mine experience than it would have been without one. So there's just something very, very, very funny about that. Something very funny about it. Dominic says, Unison want to walk out over the hourly staff rate for the paid staff. Just get rid of all the paid staff then, run it all on volunteers. I bet you'd get plenty. Spoon Trick says, is that to make the mining museum experience more authentic? Yeah, I'm sure it is. Jeff says, Andy, my wife says you look a lot like Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin. Right, I'm going to show how stupid I am now. I'm having a mental block. Who's Ben Franklin? I know who Joe Franklin was. So a land train for the coal mining museum. Surely an old transit with a few plastic deck chairs would be just as effective and cheaper. You know, they used to have battle buses, didn't they, in the miners' strike, with like netting across the windows. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's some of that. Yeah. It'd be brilliant. I think it's just brilliant, that. Absolutely brilliant. They go on strike for more money and inadvertently make the whole visitor experience far more authentic and don't get paid for it. It's just brilliant. Spoontrick says they want more money because they view their work as a normal office job, i.e. purely transactional. If they had a sense of duty and preserving English history and education, they might not want more money. I say if they view their work as an office job and they are sat on their backside all day in an office, they don't deserve more than £12 an hour, do they? I mean, sat in an office, what can you be doing sat at a desk in an office that makes it worth more than £12 an hour? It's not like you're diffusing landmines in the Ukraine or something, is it? You know, it's not exactly dangerous or rocket science, is it? It's absolutely hilarious. Dominic says, Ben Franklin, one of the founding fathers. Oh, that Benjamin Franklin, right, yeah. He's on Mount Rushmore. He's one of the ones on Mount Rushmore, Ben Franklin. You know Mount Rushmore's not finished. Apparently they never finished it. Maybe the people from the National Mining Museum did Mount Rushmore. Chris says, Andy, have I got any new telephones this week? Have I got any new, or have you got any new telephones? If you've got any, you should be telling me, Christopher. It's come out a bit jumbled up, that. Do you mean have I got any? Have you got? I've not got any. Some trim phone handsets, some green trim phone handsets have turned up this week. I'm gradually building trim phones out of bits at the minute. Spoon Trick says, having sat in a plastic deck chair in the back of my granddad's van on holiday, I can attest it makes long road trips very engaging. I bet it does. Dominic says, balls over Mount Rushmore. Yeah. Aren't any mountains in Bolsover though, Dominic? They're all actually coal slag heaps from when we used to have miners that actually went to work. Yeah, I don't think you could carve me into side of one of that. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea, though, isn't it? It's an interesting idea. If there were going to be a statue of me anywhere, I'd like it to be a full height, life-size one of me doing that and stand it outside opposite 10 Downing Street. Yeah. So every time they come out the door, they see me doing that. I think that'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Ben Franklin's on the $100 bill. Hence the phrase, "Show me the Benjamins." Right, yeah, right. I don't think I've ever seen a $100 bill. You know something, Jeff? I don't think I've ever seen any American currency in note form other than $1, which is green, isn't it? A single dollar is green, isn't it? But what other notes do you have in America? I've got no idea. I don't think I've ever seen any of the others. Are they all green? They might all be green. Because they do things different in America, don't they? In America, the coins haven't changed for years, and you can do like coin roll hunting and like find like nickels and dimes and that are made out of different alloys and things. And what is it? It's got a lot of silver in it. Is it a quarter? Where you can get silver quarters. You know, before a certain time they got a lot of silver content in them, and people like go to the bank and get like big bags of quartz and go through them all to try and find all the silver ones. Dominic says Starmer wouldn't react to your statue being as he's a robot. He's not a robot. Robots are clever. Christopher says, Andy, has your landline phone stayed the same from when you showed it last year, or have you changed it? Because I change my phones around in the house quite a lot. The landline phone on the desk here has stayed the same, Christopher. If I want to do, how can I get it so you can see it? It's there. Look. If I do that, it's there. It's a bit dusty actually. I ought to have cleaned it before I pointed the camera at it, didn't I? But yeah, it's this one with the dial 12 on it. It's still here. It's a really nice smooth dial actually. This. Yeah. But yes, that's still here. And we've still got the American war phone, which is actually one of my favourites. I do quite like the American war phones. Can I show you that? How can I show you that? If I grab this camera up here, alright, this camera here, alright, if I grab it and turn it round there somewhere, you can see the yellow American war phone. See? Which is quite a good one. I quite like that. Right, I'll put that back. Will it go back? Yeah, sort of. That's where I get one camera in the way of the other camera now. Oh, what have I done? Oh, I should have done that. Right. Yeah. There's not been much telephone action going on this week. There's been too many other things to do. Jeff says the American banknotes are mostly all green: $1, $2, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100. They are common U.S. bills, although the $2 is a bit rare to find in circulation. There are bigger bills, but much less commonly used. Right. Dominic says the early 706s are great with the dial 12. Yeah, that's not a 706, Dominic. It's a clone, basically. I think it's a GEC clone. This one. I think, I'm not certain. It's not an Ericsson one. It's not an Ericsson one. It's somebody else's. But yeah, it is a clone, hence why it's only got numbers around the bezel, not numbers and letters. Jeff says from the early 1960s through to about 2000, every US household had one of those wall phones in the kitchen. Yeah, well, I've still got one, and I've got another one down there. I've got a black one down. I've got a black one down here that had a bit of an accident because we were doing one of these shows some time ago, and that phone wasn't working, and I had to take out all the switch assembly with all the contacts. It's a sandwich of lots of different contacts, and it fell apart in the hand, and I thought, oh, what order does this go back together in? So it's all here in a little pot waiting to go back together, but I don't know what order to put it back together in. I need to take another one apart to try and figure out what order it goes back together in. But yeah, I've got a black one there, a yellow one up there, and I have also got a cream one, but that's at the radio studio actually. That's found its way in a box to the radio studio. Spoon Trick says, on the topic of phones, a little tip. If you have a stretched out handset cable, you can wrap it around the PSTN cable, wind it tightly, and fix it in place using cable ties or whatever. If you have a stretched out handset cable, you can wrap it around PTSN cable, wind it tightly and fix it in place. Right? Then submerge it in near boiling water for 20 minutes, up to an hour, and it should be almost new. Watch out for markings left by the cable ties though. Yeah, you can do that, Spoon Tricks, or you can just wind it the other way. Have I got one that I can demonstrate that on? I've done it many times on this channel, but you may not have seen it, so... Right, here's a trim phone we can probably demonstrate on. Trouble is, I wound this up so well I can't find the end of the cable. What have I done here? Oh, there it is. Right, yeah, so what you do, this is what you mean by a stretched out cable, isn't it? Where it's all stretched like that. Well, what you do is you take it and you twist it the opposite way. And if you twist it all to the way, so force the twist to come out, and then put it back in, twist it the other way around, it won't be perfect, but it will be better. So what you're doing is twisting it to the way, taking the twist out of it, putting it back in the other way around. You see how loose it is to start with. Just talk amongst yourselves a minute, because it does take a while, this. got the Swap Shop theme going around in my head now after I was watching Swap Shop earlier. The second theme, the one that was written by B.A. Robertson, the one that goes. You have to be of a certain age. Now, as I say, it won't be perfect, but it will be better. Sure, your method of warming it up probably does work better. What they used to do to get the twist in the first place is wind them around a rod of something that doesn't react to heat, put them in a big oven, then slide it off the rod and then twist it the other way, and that's what tightens it up. It's the act of twisting it backwards that makes it tight. And I saw this and thought, well, if I twist one backwards that is just naturally loose, perhaps it'll tighten it up, and it does indeed work. So this is, it's actually a very dirty trim foam handset cable, but that loose cable, now you see, is much tighter. I mean, I know it's not even at all, but it is much tighter now, you see, than it was. That's without warming it up. So maybe if you do your trick and warm it up to even it out a bit, and then do that, maybe you'll end up with a really good one. I have a feeling you probably would. Dominic says, I wonder how many people have a wall phone in their home from the GPO. They seem to have been more common in commercial applications in the UK. I have one, and I certainly had one. There was certainly one in the house growing up, but not in this house. When I lived with Mum and Dad at a little place called Lehome Estate, Google it, smallest estate in England, we lived at number 7, and there was certainly in the front room, just as you came in through the front door and into the little hallway and then through into the front room, there was a wall phone, an ivory wall phone on the wall. Whether it was a 711 or a 741, I don't know, because they look the same from the outside, don't they? I'm fairly sure it had got a clear finger wheel on it, so it's probably a 741. And it would have been put in probably in the mid-70s, I would say. But yeah, I certainly had that, and and I wish I'd still got it. I don't think I've still got it anywhere. If I have, it's buried somewhere. I've not seen it for years. It had a specially made, ordered from Kay's catalogue, this is how long ago it was, it had like a little gold sort of twisted wrought iron bracketed table shelfy thing underneath it. You could put a pad and paper on. Yeah. Yes, very 1970s, very 1970s, very Mrs. Bucket that was. And the shelf bit that went into this wrought iron thing was wood effect on one side and white Formica on the other side, so you could turn it over and have like 2 different effects on your shelf. Dominic says, gotta go, have a great week everyone. Thanks Dominic, see you later. Yeah. Dominic says, talking about phones not working, it took me a week to get my New Zealand 746 working because I find why the phone wasn't working, and in the end it was only one wire in the line that was faulty. Yeah, classic that, classic faulty wire in the line. Yeah, one of the first things I do if I get a faulty phone is bust through the line code, particularly because of the plugs in the UK, the plug and socket things. Those plugs are often not put on the end of the wire properly, particularly if they've been a DIY fit at home. They've often not been crimped on properly, so it can be a bit tricky. So yeah, it's always worth just getting a little multimeter, just set to continuity and butting through the wires. Make sure all 4 wires have got continuity. Doesn't matter too much about the green one generally, because it's normally not connected to anything like that, but yeah, make sure the others have got continuity. Spoon Trick says, oh wow, that's a neat trick. Yeah, I thought it was a good trick, and I'll tell you something, there's a phone restorer who thought it was a neat trick as well, and he couldn't believe it when I did it in front of him. He just sat there open mouth, went, what? Spoon Trick says, I'll keep that idea of yours in my arsenal. And it says, it's bouquet, not bucket. It's spelt bucket. It's definitely bucket. Right, anyway, I think that's enough nonsense for one day, really, isn't it? Yeah, time to go, I think, and see what's for supper. Hopefully Thor's not eating everything out of the house. He's very quiet actually tonight. He's not barked once tonight. Thanks to everybody for taking part here once again. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Right, are we here next week is my next question. Yes, I think we probably are. Next Sunday is the Autumn Tractor Day at Heege Windmill. If any of you find yourself in the area around Heege in Derbyshire, which is sort of quite close to Alfreton and Ripley and all that sort of area. If any of you find yourselves around there next Sunday, come and see us at Heege Tractor Day. We will be there next Sunday from about 10 o'clock in the morning onwards, roughly about 10 till 4, something like that. Come and see the wonderful Heege Windmill. It's a really great old windmill. Actually works, it mills flour, run entirely by volunteers, and it's just a brilliant place to go for a day out, and it's in quite a picturesque bit of Derbyshire as well, so it's nice to go and see, particularly if the weather's nice. So we'll be there next Sunday, but hopefully it'll all be done and dusted and we'll be back here for around about 7 o'clock next Sunday evening. As always, of course, remember there is the website andyshed.coldpress.net, and remember, if you want to support the show here, we don't do we don't do Patreon anymore, but you can buy me a coffee by going here. No, going here. There. It's buymeacoffee.com/Andy's Shed. And as they say in that certain supermarket, every little helps. Right, that is about it from me for now. Thanks to everybody for taking part in the chat once again. I'm still laughing about the thing about the mining museum. I just think that's so funny. Christopher says, once I've been to the job interview, I will be working on the weekend all the time. I'm just waiting for Steam Rail mail. What day I should get the mail? Next couple of days. I should get the mail in the next couple of days, and I'll let you know. Right, Brill. That's excellent. That's really good news. That is, Christopher. I'm glad you got that job, because I think that will suit you, and I think you'll bring something to it that maybe just having a random person wouldn't bring to it. You've got more knowledge than just anybody they could recruit off the street, sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's a good match. I think you'll enjoy it, and I hope you do enjoy it. Right, as I say, that's about it for us for now. Hang on, my screen's gone funny. Oh, there it is. Yeah, thanks to everybody for taking part once again. Maybe a bit more telephone action next week. Who knows what may appear during the week. But have a fantastic week ahead, everybody. We will see you around about the same time, same place here next Sunday for episode 3. Crikey. And they said it wouldn't last, didn't they? Right, but from me for now, have a fantastic week ahead, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.